Hello, this is your friend, Hayley Kane, and I'm coming to you from the beautiful DeQuinder Cut in sunny 75-degree Detroit, Michigan. Ironically, when we returned back from our 3-day run with Screeching Weasel and the Queers on Sunday night, it was actually had been snowing and was very, very cold, so why not? If you've never been to Michigan, then you may not be aware of how schizophrenic the weather can be. It can turn on a dime, and when the sun is shining and the sky is blue, like right now, you got to get out and enjoy it. So I have the dogs with me. Gidget is very happy to be home. Peyton Manning is very happy to be back from the dog sitter. And it's safe to say that my band is happy to be sleeping in their own beds for a little bit at least. We are heading back on the road at the end of the week, but I'll get into that later. I was just reflecting on this run with Screeching Weasel and the Queers that took us to parts of the Midwest. We did the first night in Milwaukee, a town I had not been to in 10 years. 10 years ago, I met the famous bronze fawns by the river, Fonzie from the, at least for me, Nick at Night program, Happy Days, because Nick at Night really did raise me with Bewitched and Happy Days and Welcome Back, Kotter. So 10 years ago, I did not get to see the fawns again, but my cohorts did. Dr. Hain did see Mr. Fonzie, and so did Ryan, or as we like to call him, Guitar Center Ryan. We haven't quite figured out the right nickname for him yet. We have a few ideas. Rye Guy, Rye Bread, Guitar Center Ryan. We're working on it, okay? It's not perfect. Same with Stacy, Stacy Crusher has a good ring to it, kind of doesn't need much else, but if you have any ideas, let us know. It was the first run that we've done with Stacy. I have to give a total huge round of applause to her. A silent round of applause because I'm holding a water bottle in one hand and I'm holding the dog leash in the other. But seriously, she does deserve a lot of credit for learning the songs, doing one sort of local low pressure show where she was able to break the seal with us, and then just hopping in the van. She had never been on tour. It's a lot of hurry up and wait. It's a lot of van time. It's a lot of togetherness. It's a lot of trying to sleep on, wonky schedules. And, one night might be a good hotel. Next night might be a bad hotel. Next night might be sleeping on someone's floor, which is basically what happened. Not a bad thing by any means, but it's like the consistency of life as you know it is completely shattered. Regardless of what you might bring to anchor yourself into reality, tour will consistently throw you for a loop. And that's the beauty of it. It's what makes you feel alive and in the moment, and the accelerated bonding that happens between bandmates, but it's also a lot psychically. So she was able to do all 3 shows amazingly. I mean, if anyone fucked up, it really wasn't her. Let's just put it that way. She really held down the fort. I think she had a little bit of a nerve, some nerves, which is normal. I certainly would, but you couldn't really tell, people were saying, a lot of things, but one of the things they were saying that I thought was kind of cool, there's really no elegant way to say this, but just people saying oh yeah, we heard her during sound check, and you wouldn't know that she's a woman, she hits hard. And I know that sounds sexist, and that sounds like a weird thing to say. But there is a physicality to drums that's a little different than other instruments. And, Stacy does hit hard. She's always hit hard at practice. That was one of the first things I noticed about her. She's solid, she's a solid, very talented drummer who knows her stuff, has great chops. But the wild card was, how will she deal with the touring? Because I love doing this stuff, and it gets to me, could get to anyone. But we really pulled through. We had some great barbecue in St. Louis. That's all I want to talk about. I want to talk about the ribs. There were some pork ribs. We got a big old box of 24 bones, as they said, of pork ribs with 8 different sauces. There was a Carolina, an original, a sweet, and a spicy. And I know all these because hell yeah, I'm a big sauce person, so I was really excited about all that. There was potato salad that was really good, for sort of a mustard-based potato salad, and some baked beans that were killer. The bones just like, oh my God, the ribs just fell off the bone. It was just smoky, charred, delicious, great flavor. Oh my God. I also got to try just a little pinch of our tour manager Gunner's burnt ends, which is something I never order, you know, like I'm from California, just cuts of meat that are, you know, regional to central coast of California, like tri-tip, one of those things people don't know about in the Midwest. And out in St. Louis, you know, barbecue is life. And I was talking to one of the bouncers and security guys, and he was talking about how, you know, you really have to get a pork steak, a pork roast, or pork. You got to get pork is what he was saying. You know, you got to get pork. That's like the main thing you got to get when you're in St. Louis. So I was happy we got that pork ribs. Let's see. The first venue, Milwaukee, really gorgeous venue. It kind of looked like a wedding venue because it was so old and beautiful. Like all the floors are wooden and creaky, and there's wooden rafters, and there's twinkle lights kind of hanging. And it was a very beautiful venue. It was also attached to or next to a really interesting looking restaurant that we didn't actually get to check out, but it was one of those old style kind of German restaurants that looked like a castle. And I'm kind of bummed I didn't go to get any food there, but I asked several people like that worked there, and this is the thing, you know, they were like, yeah, you know, it's okay, it's touristy, so it's not very good. You know, it's like you gotta trust people. You gotta trust what's good and what's not going to be good, right? So the venue was gorgeous. The sound was great. It was a big crowd. I think it was around 1,000 people or 900 people. No, 800 people. I don't know. I try to remember these numbers, but then they go in one ear out the other. I think it was 800. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. It was a big crowd. It felt like it was really packed. The energy was there. I heard from a lot of people that had flown in to see Screeching Weasel. I think they hadn't been to Milwaukee in 25 years. And when they did play it last, they played under a pseudonym. That was actually a funny pseudonym. I can't remember the name of the pseudonym that they used, or the fake name. Because, you know, there's a lot of details. I'm trying to remember the details for you guys, but it's hard. But you could tell people were just really excited. And I just feel like Milwaukee and Detroit have something in common. There's just, they're cities that don't, you know, think they're the end, you know, they're great cities that don't brag about it, you know, like they're working class, good, like solid people, you know. These are just really salt of the earth people, kind people. There's a Midwestern hospitality there that's also in Detroit that surprises people because it is, you know, sort of East Coast. But I mean, we're 10 hours drive from New York. So, I mean, how East are we really? And we don't have that. We're too cool for school that Chicago has. You know, Chicago reminds me more of San Francisco or LA in terms of just the vibe of a lot of the people that I run into. Unless you go to like a real, like, legit hot dog joint or something, and then there's just a bunch of like super nice dudes that look like they eat hot dogs every day of their life. More power to them. Where was I going with this? Yeah, Milwaukee had a great vibe. We got a lot of love, met a lot of new people, a lot of people that said like, oh, I never heard of you guys before, and now like I'm a fan, or I'm gonna follow you guys. I'm part of this, you know. And I always appreciate that. That's sort of a bold thing to say to a band. I don't know. But a lot of just really sweet people that we met at the merch booth and just kind of milling around. Queers sounded great on this whole run. Ron their keyboardist has a really cool sound, and I feel like I was able to hear some keys, more keys than I did last time. It's sort of like a random aside, but it's funny because we've done so many shows now with Screeching Weasel, and now we've done quite a couple, you know, now a handful with the Queers. Because you see a band so many times, it's those little things that kind of come out where you're like, oh, like, you know, the sound was a little bit this tonight, or oh, I could hear the second guitar better, or oh yeah, the vocals were really good, or was there a delay sound delay there. It sounded like something was off. You can kind of get into this, like, after the show, it's sort of a play-by-play, like, of discussing and breaking down all those little things that the audience never notices, and they shouldn't notice because they're in the moment enjoying the vibe and the energy. Excuse the wind. But all in all, we had a great show in Milwaukee, St. Charles, Illinois, Arcada Theater. And by the way, Milwaukee was the Turner Hall Theater, and that show was put on by the Riot Fest Presents group or whatnot. And they did a great job promoting, and just the show itself went off really well. St. Charles was Arcada Theater. Very beautiful theater. Again, gorgeous. Seated theater. But I'll get to that. The first thing I want to talk about, though, is the walls. They had sparkly glitter walls. Like the walls, this is like it's about a 100-year-old theater, is what they said. 1926. And the walls had this gorgeous texture with glitter in it. And I just thought it was the most beautiful thing. It's gorgeous little archways and just little adorable things that have been added, like they did in the 1920s, little alcoves and things. Big balcony, but again, seated. So a lot of people were like, this is a weird show. Like, they all had a good time, but I heard a lot of people being like, that's the first punk show I've been to that's entirely seated, right? So that was kind of interesting. I think it also kind of puts emphasis on the band to really, I don't know, you have to play to the vibe of the room. At the opening band, as I've said many times, is about, warming up the stage and getting everyone prepared for the main dish. And that's very important. But at the same time, it's like each venue is going to have its own vibe and each crowd's going to have its own vibe. And so that one was a little bit, I guess I could say it was a bit challenging. When you don't see people in the crowd kind of moving or standing, at least, it kind of feels a little surreal. But I have to say, everything else was great. And we even sold one of my lyric doodles I've been making. If you've been following along, I've been getting into the Sumi Japanese ink watercolor stuff. And Reed decided we would do some lyric sheets. Like, he would write the lyrics on the doodles and that we would sell them in frames. And so far we've done 5. We thought, let's do an experiment. We'll bring 5. We sold 2. And the guy that bought the Bad Girls one, which has a kind of a cute little watercolor of a girl, like with kind of horn rim glasses, like cat eye glasses, with the Bad Girls lyrics. And these all have guitar picks, by the way. If you're interested, they're on our web store, on our Mega Mall through our website. The guy who bought it was no one other than Alan from Goldmine Magazine, who I just had been interviewed by on the Goldmine Dollar Bin podcast with his co-host, Rev, from the band Drowns, which is a great band. The Drowns or Drowns? I don't know. Throw a "the" on there. And it was a really great chat, by the way. If you want to listen to that, it was really fun. We talked about some of like the first records I got from the junk section of the antique store with my big sister as we were walking around looking for old Barbies in Hermosa Beach. And we talked about, my record store growing up in San Luis Obispo, California, Boo Boo Records, and how much that meant to me. And we talked about the power of physical media, why bands continue to make physical media, whether it be a floppy disk, a fake download card 8-track like we've done, or, full on vinyl, which is a huge investment of time and money and effort and, cost, right? And talking about that, and also just kind of some funny, guilty pleasures. We talked about like what bands are surprising that, that I like, or things like that. And it was just really fun. It was kind of off the wall. It was definitely just a really casual, entertaining. I mean, I don't say this about all the podcasts I'm on because, sometimes podcasts can be, a little more serious or a little bit more structured. And I just thought this one came off really natural, and I just enjoyed listening back and hearing all of our banter. A lot of banter. If banter bothers you, maybe not be for you. But I thought it was a really fun conversation. And I should mention Rev of the Drowns is on tour right now with the Casualties. They'll be in Detroit soon. next month in May. And go check them out. I think they're going everywhere, so definitely check them out. They are from Seattle area. Okay, what else? Let's see. We went to the final show. St. Louis was at a place called Red Flag. It kind of felt like a cross between a post-apocalyptic parking garage and like a craft brewery, and maybe like a biker's clubhouse. So do with that as you will. The amount of like metal in that place, I was kind of concerned that the sound was going to be a little bit difficult, a little bit bouncy, but once people got in the room, of course it changed, and it felt a lot more warm and normal and not as crazy. But I remember during soundcheck being like, what, oh God, because I've played a lot of breweries and they're cool spots, like they're cool places to hang out, but it's kind of hard when it's all metal everywhere. Metal and concrete. It was all metal and concrete. Some funny things happened during our set. I will say first, this was really great. I got to sound check with the Screeching Weasel band. Ben was not there at the moment, and so I took the opportunity to sing a couple songs and see if the mic was going to feed back and move across the stage. And I was like flustered. I didn't know what songs to choose, and now I'm going to spend the rest of my life going, I should have chose this song, I should have chose that song, but who knows, maybe I'll get to do it again one day. But I chose Supermarket Fantasy, and I chose Hey Suburbia. 2 songs with like kind of a lot of words. But it's like, you gotta, it's like karaoke, right? Karaoke that you can't think too hard. You gotta just go for it. And that was a really cute moment. It was actually really, I know it sounds nerdy. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the band, and I have been for such a long time, since I was a wee little lass. And so it was really cool to do that. And I thank the Weasel guys for humoring me. It was really fun. Okay, St. Louis. So some funny things happened on stage. Well, first, okay, man, St. Louis was kind of weird, I have to say. There was a woman we met named Dove who had fallen off of a tour that she was on. And I won't talk about what band it was, but I'll just give you a little bit of dirt of what was going on here. So Dove is a photographer, videographer who travels with bands. Super talented, super cool chick. Did not know her until St. Louis when she DM'd me and said, hey, I fell off this tour. I basically quit because the guy that I am touring with is a rich asshole who is paid her well, her and another female photographer that was running with them, was paying them well, but he was such a douchebag that she just had to get away. And so she literally was like, fuck this, I'm done. And she's from Sacramento, and she started the tour, I believe, in Detroit, like we did, weirdly, and was almost weirdly following our trajectory. She was in Chicago the night that we were in Chicago, or not Chicago, St. Charles, Chicagoland area. And she DM'd me and was like, hey, like, I stumbled across one of your videos online. You guys seem cool. Like, do you want like photos? Like, can I come take photos? And I was like, yeah, I mean, that'd be cool. Like, we can't pay you a ton of money. Like, we can't do much for you. We didn't budget this in, if we had maybe discussed it before we left and kind of figured out how we could make it work or, whatever. But, we'll try to, make it worth your while. And so we ended up doing a photo shoot like during golden hour right before our show in St. Louis. Golden hour, is that moment right before sunset when everything is tinged in gold. It's really the creme de la creme for any photographer. And we were just there. Beautiful golden sun, St. Louis sunset, doing our synchronized jumps, trying to get all of us in the air at the same time. And it was a beautiful moment, especially because Stacy's new to the band, and this will be our second photo shoot, albeit an impromptu photo shoot, but it was our second photo shoot as a band together. And she is she kind of moonlights on the side as a model, mostly kind of commercial modeling stuff. And so she really is interested in being in front of the camera. Like, I love that. How often do I get a bandmate that wants to be a ham, So that was really cool. But it kind of threw me off because it was like right before we were supposed to play. So when we got in, we're like, oh shit, we need to actually play. And so as a result, I kind of missed my routine. Like, I have this routine of doing my vocal warm-up, and now I do a nebulizer, so I kind of get my voice looped up. Apparently, you're supposed to do it and then wait 20 minutes, which I learned from Ben this time around. Like, oh shit, you're supposed to wait? Because I think if you nebulize with the steam and then you sing right away, it almost can damage your voice. I'm always learning new things from him. He is just, I mean, I got the throat lozenges he recommended. I think I'm using the in-ears he recommended. I know I'm using the in-ears he recommended. I mean, if he says this is good, I'm gonna do it, basically. You got to take your mentorship where you can get it, whether or not they would ever identify as a mentor. You can learn from people around you, especially people that have been doing this for way longer. So I've been trying to pick up on these little things and like, okay, I should try this, I should try that. I want to be, the best I can be. Before these tours, I wasn't even really using in-ears, and Ben was very much like, dude, you have, like, it's going to be much better. Like, it's going to change your life. And lo and behold, it totally changed everything for me. So I kind of missed my routine, which I was like, shit. And like that created like a domino effect of things where, so normally the band will go on stage first and I kind of wait in the wings and I stretch and I grab waters for everybody and put them on stage so we all have water. And I know this sounds like small stuff, but it's not when you're, performing nonstop for 30 minutes, which doesn't sound like very long, but these are high intensity shows. It's almost like running a race. So I missed the water situation, forgot to get the waters. I get on stage. So normally what happens is my lead guitar player, Ryan, will check my guitar. And the whole reason they do this is like, because my outfits have gotten more elaborate, it's like fun to kind of wait to the last minute for me to get on stage. So it's kind of like a reveal, And so he'll check my guitar, make sure it's tuned, and then he'll just hit the tuner pedal, which mutes it. And then I get on stage, hit that, and I'm ready to play. Well, I get on stage without my water, which that was a huge mistake. Not having water really fucked me up. So I get on stage, I hit the unmute fucking thing on my pedal, and there's no sound. And this is a song that just starts, it's Poison Box. It starts with straight up just guitar riff, singing, going. I mean, there's no stopping once you start. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? And so any guitar player will know when this happens, there's just a few things you gotta check. So you gotta check, is it the volume knob? I checked the volume knob. It's not the volume knob. I thought, okay, well, is it my chord? So there's really no time during the song to like kind of figure that out, but I found a way like during his solo to like kneel down and check my chords to my pedal. I'm looking at the amp, is it on? Like, it's very unusual that my guitar is not just suddenly not working. So I just sang like most of the song without guitar, which I mean, it was fine. It was just, it kind of threw me off and put me into like adrenaline, like fight or flight. And once you get into fight or flight, it's hard to go back from there. So I was like, okay, shit, well, we're doing this now. Eventually my guitar did turn on. I'm not sure if it was the cord that I wiggled or if it was a knob, a knob I barely ever use. It's like a tone knob. But if my guitar is on the wrong channel, like the wrong pickup channel, I mean, I guess that could have been it, but I could have sworn I checked which like channel it was on. I don't know. It's a lot when you're trying to sing and perform and your guitar's not working and you're trying to test every fucking thing. It's just the whole thing, right? And so I'm flustered. I'm kind of freaking out. And then the guitar thankfully starts working. I realize there's no water. I really need water at least one time during the set. And so I noticed there was like a half drank bottle of water like at the far end of the stage. And so like in between a song I was like, Reed, can you grab me the water? So he grabs me this water bottle. Actually it was like mostly full, but it wasn't even mine. It was just like some random ass water bottle, but that was the closest one. I couldn't see any water near me. And so he tosses it to me. I drink like a sip of it and then I put it down and immediately knock it all of it over. So I'm standing in a puddle of water that's like an inch of water. For some reason it's like pooling around me. I'm like, am I gonna get electrocuted? Thankfully Gunnar, the tour manager is really big about towels on stage, so he had like these little sweat towels, so I was able to grab one in between songs, but I was slipping so bad all around the stage. I'm wearing these go-go boots that have absolutely no tread on them, that are, you know, I've used them for years, so they're, not only are there no tread normally, but they're just like worn smooth, so I'm fucking surfing on stage. I finally figure out I can put the sweat towel down, but it's so small I can only put one foot on it to kind of keep me anchored. And then during Angeline, by the way, this is like the third song in or fourth song in, like this all happened within like the first part of the set. Like during Angeline, which is when I bring out my, you know, beautiful iridescent fan and I throw it into the audience and stuff, the lights go out in the entire venue. And I don't know, people after I got off stage were like very nonchalant about it, but I've never experienced that. And it didn't shake me, but it was like, what is happening? So I guess what had happened was the queers needed to get their stage visual, like send it off to the sound person or whatnot. And so I think they had put their phone down on some part of the board and it just turned off all the power, is what I heard. No hard feelings if that's what happened, but it was like, in the mic, I was just like, can you guys put your flashlights on me? Because I had the fan, you know? And Nick, our amazing merch guy, was like, oh, it was so funny when they all put their flashlights on you. It actually made the fan sparkle, and it was actually really cool. It's a cool ambiance, right? But it was just like, what the fuck? I'm like sliding around this water. I was already in fight and flight because of my damn guitar. And then, of course, the lights go out. But, you know, it was still a great show. I still had a lot of fun. But afterwards, Reed was like, you were cranking through those songs. What happened? Like, you were going so fast. And I realized later, like, oh, it was essentially the fight or flight. You know, once that switch hits, it's kind of hard to turn off. And I think we finished 5 minutes early, which is very, very unique for us. You know, we're a band that we do talk a bit we have our chunks of music that we go straight into different songs right one after the other, but we also have our little talking spots. We try to keep them minimal. I know that's just, you know, divisive among some of us. We don't all like it, but we like to interact with the audience, and we still came off 5 minutes early. So I guess that was our gift to the queers, is that we gave them 5 more minutes. But I don't know. It was just, it was kind of a shit show in some ways. But the funny thing was, afterwards, talking to people, you know, no one notices this stuff. The only people I would tell this to is my bandmates or like you guys, because I know you guys, you know, you like to hear the behind the scenes, and you know that I'm telling you because it's a fun way to interact with the band and to know what it's like to be in this band. It's not like I'm complaining. It's not like I'm saying, oh my God, isn't this so horrible? I'm so above this, you know, like this is why I always tell my bandmates, this is why we practice. We don't practice to be perfect. We practice for the oh shit moments, to just know that we can get through anything. And we did get through it. And that does feel gratifying. And, you know, Stacy didn't even know any of this was happening, which is also gratifying, you know, like, you don't want to be thinking about your drummer, and you don't really want your drummer to be thinking about you. Like, that's a really weird thing to say, but it's true. Like, I want to forget Stacy's there, and Stacy should not be paying attention to me. She should be paying attention to running the ship and running the song. So yeah, we came through. It was actually a fun end of the night. I also got to do some babysitting for Ben's cute little Chihuahua, Feta. Can't believe I missed talking about this, but Feta and Gidget finally met each other. That's Ben's Chihuahua and my Chihuahua, our Chihuahua, the band Chihuahua. They hit it off like gangbusters. They were playing, and you know, Gidget is 1 year old, doesn't really know how to play very well. When I take her to the dog park, she's not always the most, like, she kind of doesn't understand play yet. She'll play with me, but it's hard to get her to play with other dogs. But she pretty much instantly took to Feta, and they were playing very puppyish. They were even cuddling in the van later during Weasel's set. I spent about half a Weasel set in the van with both dogs, just kind of like calming them down and petting them. And because Ben was concerned about leaving him in the green room. It was just, like I said, it was a very noisy venue, the way it was set up. It was just real noisy. So they were cuddling together in this little crate with like the dog bed and the blankie. It was just adorable to see them just like they're friends, they're homies now. And 2 Chihuahuas on the road, always better than 1 Chihuahua. Okay. So that's pretty much it. I feel like that's a kind of a full wrap up. We did sell a lot of t-shirts, which made me happy. We have to probably re-up some. If you haven't gotten your Crusher shirt yet and you really want one, you might want to go on to our Mega Mall, because when we do these runs, we are literally having to re-up and buy, replenish a lot of things. And so if you are looking for a specific size, these are good times to do that, because we are continually replenishing. Some of these shirts are made on demand, but other ones are ones that we actually have made here in Detroit with our friend Karen, Knockout Screen Printing. And so if you, for instance, the pink shirts are pretty popular with the red shark ink. Those ones go real fast, and we did just replenish those sizes, and we're probably going to have to redo them again. So do check that out. We are playing this Friday and Saturday. Friday night, we're going to be in Louisville, Kentucky for punk rock night. It's sort of an auxiliary punk rock night to the iconic favorite Melody Inn Indianapolis punk rock night, which we've played many times, headlined a few times. This will be, so that'll be Saturday night will be in Indy. So Friday, Louisville punk rock night. Saturday, the 25th of April, will be the Indianapolis punk rock night. Doubleheader punk rock night headlining shows. Very cool, very happy. Headlining is not something we like to do because playing last sucks, but there's a difference between headlining when you're gonna have all your people there, and headlining when you're not. And it's cool that we're at a place in our band where when we headline some of these places, some of these cities that are friendly to us, and where you guys are at, it's really cool that we can headline, and it's actually the glory of headlining and not the shit of headlining. It's really cool, putting a little feather in our cap, as Dove was saying, the photographer that we met. She was saying, like, she basically was hired by this rich guy who paid to have all these musicians tour with him, and yet he was playing these 200-seater, 200 to 400-seater venues, and like 25 people were showing up. And I remember when we first had our first 80 people audience, kind of guaranteed audience in Portland, in a city that we don't live in, and is pretty far from our hometown, and knowing that we could draw 80 people, and to me, that felt like we made it. And hearing Dove's story about working for this misogynistic douchebag who spent all this money to make himself, prop himself up and to take himself on tour on a fancy tour bus and stay in fancy hotels every night. You can't pay people to like your music. You can't pay people to come to your shows. You can pay for bots. You can pay for streams. You can pay for all the best musicians to play with you. That doesn't mean the audiences are going to connect with your music. Doesn't mean your music is meaningful in people's lives. And that just really solidified that for me when she was like, yeah, I'd much rather be playing or coming with you guys on this kind of punk rock thing, where we ended up sleeping that night of St. Louis at our friend Gabe Ussery's recording studio, Encapsulated Studios. Incidentally, that's where Jacaranda and Church of Flag and Angeline were recorded. She's like, I'd rather sleep on the floor in this recording studio with you guys and feel that sense of community than be on some fucking fancy tour bus with this guy who thinks he can buy the world. And it's just, that's the thing about art. There is something very egalitarian and very democratic about it. Like, we all have this ability to put art into the world, and having more ears or eyes on your art doesn't necessarily make it better, but the cream does rise to the top, and it doesn't matter, how much you want to, game the system. It just doesn't, and I do like that. It did make me feel validated to hear her say that. And I will link to her photography because she's got some great stuff, and we're looking forward to seeing some of the photos that she took. But do support her. She's in Sacramento, by the way, if anybody needs a good concert photographer. I think that's it. We've kind of been this and there and around, and I have taken you all over my board covered in red yarn. I feel like it's been an ADHD story for sure. But thanks for joining me on this episode, and we'll see you this weekend if you're in Indy or Louisville. And then next month in May 23rd, we'll see you in Denver. We are so grateful to be tapped to go on the Dwarves Weasel Bill in Denver at the Oriental Theater on May 23rd. Never seen the Dwarves, actually, so to play with them, I'm very, very excited. And yeah, there's tickets for that available now. So yeah, that's it. Final word. Okay. Until next time, sparkle hard, and I will see you next time. Bye.